What separates the top 5% from everyone else? It isn't luck. It isn't talent. Believe it or not, it's belief. And if you adopt them, you will see your life, business, and relationships multiply. Welcome to the Cody Hoffine Show, where entrepreneurs come to grow. And I say this because it's come to grow their business, their impact, and their life. I'm Cody Hoffine, and each week I share lessons I've learned from building my own businesses, along with conversations with people who've been in your shoes. Together, we'll talk about the habits, the systems, and the mindsets at work and at home to help you build a life and a business that truly matters. All right, guys, belief number 1. Success lies in masterful consistency around the fundamentals. And I want you to think about this. This is one of the most powerful quotes. When I heard this, I was like, this is game changer. It's easier to act your way into new thinking than it is to think your way into a new way of acting. Said another way, you need to go out and you need to simply act, and those little actions are going to help shift and change your thinking. Some individuals out there, I've coached dozens of individuals, both my private clients and in a group setting. And I've seen individuals that they have fear, things holding them back from taking action. So think of this quote again. It's easier to act your way into a new way of thinking than it is to think your way into a new way of acting. Sometimes we're paralyzed by our thoughts where we won't take action. If you will just simply take the action, you will see that your thinking will shift, will change. I want you to hear this also, the 100-hour rule. This is something that you can live by today. This is something that'll put you above 95% of the world. Crazy what I'm about to share with you, because it's not anything hard, it's something simple. The 100-hour rule simply means 18 minutes a day. If you were to break down the 100 hours over 365, 18 minutes a day for the 100 hours a year, that alone puts you ahead of 95% of the population. Now, what do you do during that 18%? You are going to, when I say success lies in masterful consistency around the fundamentals, like don't get bored with the basics. Always stick true to personal development. Remember the quote from good old Jim Rohn, rarely does a man's income exceed his level of personal development. It's spending time, that 18 minutes, to really work on you, become someone better, because as you work each and every day, and just as simple as 18 minutes a day, working on maybe some skill sets, some mindsets, personal development, leadership, when you work in these areas and you grow yourself, your income is going to follow. It's going to mirror who you are. So when you want to make more money, you can't remain the same person. You must grow yourself in your personal development, and watch what happens. Money starts to chase you. Kobe Bryant, he was probably one of the best at not ever losing or getting bored with the basics. He was the one that would always go to the gym at 4 a.m. And he had a guy interview him at 4 a.m. He was there dribbling, and he thought he'd show up early. He gets there at 3:45. He realizes the light's on, the basketball's already dribbling. Kobe Bryant's in there. And he says he goes in there and he's working on dribbling. He's working on this, like, where his steps are every time he's pivoting and where he puts his feet. And he remembered asking him, he says, why do you do these things? Like, here I thought you were going to be working on like special moves, special drives, special shots. But no, here you are working on the basics. And Kobe's answer was, I never get bored with the basics. Powerful, guys. Belief number 2, genius is a daily lifestyle, not a natural gift. Genius equals your habits, not your genetics. And what I want you to understand is most people think, oh, that guy's a genius. Edison, all these individuals were so incredible. They were just natural geniuses. Guys, genius is less to do with genetics and more to do with your daily habits. What are you doing each and every day consistently is what determines the level of genius you will become. Now, Edison had an incredible story, and I'm going to read some of this stuff because it's so powerful. His teacher had written a letter, and it was sealed, gave to Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison takes it home. And it basically said, your son is ad-led, which means like your son's mentally ill. We cannot let him attend our school anymore. He is expelled. Edison's mother, instead of reading the harsh truth, told him. So think of this. Your mother reads this note and like, oh my gosh, my kid's ad-led, or my kid's mentally ill. Instead of reading the letter, she says this to the son. Your son is a genius. This school is too small for him and doesn't have good enough teachers for such a brilliant child. Please teach him yourself. She then homeschooled him, nurturing his gifts, Many years later, after his mother passed away, Edison supposedly found this letter in an old drawer and read the original message. Upon realizing his mother had protected him, he wept and wrote in his diary, Thomas Alva Edison was an ADLED, or mentally ill child, that by a hero mother became the genius of the century. You guys, what a powerful lesson. Remember, genius is more to do with your daily habits, not your genetics. Belief number 3, no idea works unless you do the work. I keep hearing Robin Sharma in the background. I spent time with him in Barcelona, and he says this quote, and I will always remember it. Ideation without execution is delusion. Ideation without execution is delusion. Your ideas won't work unless you do the work. You've got to get into action mode. Just being a dreamer, yes, all important things that you got to have ideas to act upon and dream about where you want to go in life. But if you don't take the action, nothing will work. That is a promise. This is something I always said to our students when I had a coaching company. I was teaching about 3,500 students nationwide. Massive imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. Said another way, the people taking massive imperfect action that are just simply taking action. They know they're going to make mistakes. They're going to fail, but they're going to fail their way forward. People that are willing to take massive imperfect action are miles ahead of the person sitting at home, building a perfect plan, taking no action at all. Get out of the planning mode. Get out of the dreaming mode. Start acting, even imperfect. Even with the big companies. You got Amazons. The Amazons send everything out at C work. Not when it's an A work, not when it's an A++. They send it out when it's C level. Why? Because they want to test it to see if it's even going to work. And then they'll get quickly feedback from their audience, their clients, that say, hey, this isn't working. And then they go in and tweak it and fix it. But they see that everyone's using it. They're like, this worked. Just get out there with C level work and just improve upon it as you act upon it. Belief number 4, small actions done daily create big results. And I remember this from many just mentors that I've learned from, but even in my own life, I have people ask me all the time, Cody, what are the big things that you're doing that are making a massive difference in your business? And they're shocked, which I don't know why they're shocked. Like when I tell them, not doing anything massive, at all. In fact, if this camera, for those of you that have not and want to watch me versus hear me, you can go over to my YouTube channel. This is where I'm holding some of this stuff up. I'm holding up a journal right now as I speak. If you saw my desk, it's actually boring. It's boring work. A lot of people would look at my desk and look at my life and be like, man, you do a lot of boring stuff. You guys, it's the small actions that I do daily, consistently, that pop out these big results. I'm not doing anything big. I'm just doing the small things consistently every day. And when you do those things each and every day consistently over time, it turns into these massive, massive results. Think of this, a 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step. You just gotta take daily, consistent action. Don't get in the habit of thinking something you do big right now is gonna make this massive change in your business. What happens is you actually get burned out when you do those things. What's consistent needs to be small. And as you just consistently stack those, you will have massive, massive results. Belief number 5. It's not the most talented who wins, it's the most relentless person with a purpose that wins. Let's say that again. It's not the most talented person who wins. It's the most relentless person with a purpose that wins. The point here, guys, is purpose plus relentlessness. That individual is unstoppable. That person is going places. I want you to think of just in general, 78%, this is a wild statistic, 78% of the world hate their jobs. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy? And it's tied to something that we just said in this quote or this belief number 5. They don't have a purpose. They just wake up. They don't know where they want to go. They don't have a dream. They don't have a goal. They don't have a vision. And so they wake up without a purpose. Yes, they might be relentless. They may go and work from 9 until 5 each and every day, but they're doing it miserably. They're doing it depressed because they have no purpose behind it. As I built these companies that I have owned, as I've built the companies that I've now exited, and I've exited now 4 different companies, even doing the mundane stuff, because at the beginning stages, when I had no team because I had no money, I had to do everything. I had to line up the marketing. I had to go on the appointments. I had to do sales. I had to do marketing. I had to do the disposition of the deals. I had to do all of this stuff. But guess what? None of the mundane, none of the stuff that wasn't my strength, none of the stuff that I really wasn't that good at, none of it ever felt like I hated it. None of it ever felt like, oh my gosh, I am miserable. Never. Why? Because I had a purpose. Each and every one of those tasks, each and every one of those things that I was doing was getting me one step closer to who Cody Hoffine wanted to become. It was taking my business one step closer to where I wanted my business to be. So when you have this relentlessness about yourself, make sure it's tied to a purpose. Write down first and foremost where you want to be. Where do you want to be in the next 12 months? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in the next 10 years? Give yourself a goal, give yourself a vision, give yourself something to focus on so that the work you're doing never feels mundane, so that the work you're doing never feels like it's crap work, that it's just not going to be good. But guys, 78% of the world hate their jobs because they lack purpose. Don't lack purpose. When you are purpose-driven and you are relentless, you, my friends, are going to be unstoppable. Belief number 6. Be the biggest giver of the things you want. What do I mean by that? The world reflects who we are, not just what we want. So let me give you some examples. If in life you want more money, I'm assuming you do. When you're on this podcast, this is about entrepreneurship. This is about not just building a business, but building a life that's worth living. So when you want more money in your life, find a way to help others create wealth so that they can have money. And in doing so, watch what happens. Whatever you give in life, you get back in tenfold. It's the law of the harvest. So if you want more money, help more people make more money. And watch what happens. The byproduct is you're going to make a lot of money. You want more love? Give love. You want more patience? Give patience. Whatever you want, go give that. And you will be the one that 10x receives those things in return. The outside world mirrors the inside world. Belief number 7. 2 more, guys. Stay with me. The things that make you strange are the things that make you great. What do I mean by that? That's crazy. The things that make you strange are the things that make you great. The point here is we have been schooled to become like the majority, to become like the crowd. Don't be like the crowd. Don't be like the majority. Let me give you an example of this. I remember I had a company from 2017 to about 2020 when I sold it. I was coaching about 3,500 students nationwide in what's called wholesaling real estate. Part of that was we had a number 1 podcast. This podcast shot up really, really quick. And guys, it was because we served people at such a high level. I wish I could say I was so brilliant. No, I wasn't. I was young in my entrepreneurial years. But this podcast, it was number 1 in the real estate space. It was number 2 and number 3 in the business category. It was doing really, really well. That's where majority of our students came from. They would listen to this podcast and like, oh my gosh, I got to do this wholesaling real estate. And they would call in. And I remember one time sitting there, almost like I was acting like someone else. I was acting like maybe a little bit of my business partner, and I'd try to talk just like him. And there was this aha moment on one of the podcasts. One of the things that I am super passionate about is just making God part of your life. In fact, you'll hear me always say, you're the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend the most time with. That's a powerful quote by Jim Rohn. I've added this little ending, and if you make God one of those 5, you increase your average drastically, right? He's the greatest business partner. All he asks is for 10%. Like when I'm saying that, I'm talking about tithing. And in doing so, holy smokes, it opens up all these other opportunities. Maybe it's not directly tied to just cash. When I say, man, you're going to receive tenfold back. But I start to have these other opportunities that pop up in my life that then result in more cash in my life. But here's something I want you to know. Because God is something part of my life, I was on a podcast one time, and this individual was talking about how hard it was to make ends meet, how hard it was to do this wholesaling real estate. And I asked him, I said, do you pay tithing? And I don't know why I asked that, because typically I was a little bit more reserved about sharing about God on podcasts. And quite frankly, I hadn't heard many people actually talk about God on a podcast. So I go out there and I do this, and this ends up being one of the top recorded podcasts. People loved it. And there was these reviews coming in saying, I love that you talk about God. I love that you talk about tithing. I love that you talk about these different principles that matter in your life. And this individual, within a few months, calls me personally. And he says, Cody, ever since that podcast, let me tell you the result that happened. And gosh, I get a little chills on this story. This individual started going back to church. This individual started taking his kids for the first time to church. And more importantly says, hey, I started paying tithing. And guess what? I just got my first wholesale deal. And I just remember sitting there like tears of joy coming down my face thinking, this is so powerful. And ever since then, I've always said, you know what, Cody, the things that most people would say, man, that's strange. That's what makes you great. Be authentic to yourself. Be the person that is true to them, because there's only one of you. And as you find your voice, as you find out who you are, maintain that. Some of the dorky things about me, I love Disney. And people are like all the time, like, why do you love Disney? You're such a dork. It's not just Disney, like the theme parks. I love studying great visionaries. And I believe Walt Disney was one of the greatest visionaries of all time. I talk about this. You're going to hear me multiple times quote him. And people are going to be like, this guy is such a Disney dork. Yes, I totally am. But I will maintain it because that's who I am. And there's only one Cody. And as I do that, that's what makes me great. What is it that makes you great? What is the strangeness, the weirdness about you that is only you that makes you great? Share that with the world when you're doing Instagram posts, when you're on a podcast, when you're out and about doing your business. Keep sharing what you believe makes you strange, what makes you weird. There's only one of you. And that's what makes you great, my friends. Belief number 8. Your prosperity depends on your authenticity to serve humanity. And the biggest thing is here, the one who serves the best profits the most. So find out exactly who you are and serve people that way. When you find out what matters to you in your life, have that be part of how you're going to give back and make an impact on your life. One of the things is I went and served a 2-year mission for my church. And in doing so, it was absolutely incredible. It changed my life for the better. I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't go on this mission. So one of the things that me and my wife do is we send out missionaries that don't have money because the church doesn't pay for it. You personally have to pay for it. I've always found that work has ceased to be work when I know that my purpose is there's a lot of individuals, a lot of 18-year-olds within my church that want to go serve these missions that don't have money to go on mission that me and Wendy will sponsor so that they can go on these missions. Find ways to authentically serve your people. Be you. God only made one of you. They don't need another Cody Hoffine. They need you. So who are you? Be that person and go serve the world being that person. And you, my friend, will unlock wealth and you will unlock impact and you're going to change a ton of lives. You guys, these 8 bulletproof beliefs, I hope there's something that you're going to tie into your life. So let's recap them. Number 1, success lies in masterful consistency around the fundamentals. Number 2, genius is a daily lifestyle, not a natural gift. Number 3, no idea works unless you do the work. Number 4, small actions done daily create big results. Number 5, it's not the most talented who wins. It's the most relentless person with a purpose that wins. Number 6, be the biggest giver of the things you want. Number 7, the things that make you strange are the things that make you great. Number 8, your prosperity depends on your authenticity to serve humanity. Now, you know me, this podcast is all about taking action. So today I invite you, which one of these beliefs do you need to lean into right now? I want you to pick one and I want you to start today. I want to also invite you that if you have not yet, subscribe to this podcast so it alerts you when new podcasts are released. Leave a 5-star review. If you're like, man, this has changed my life, please, those reviews help. It helps me break through this algorithm and get out to more people so I can have an impact. Share it with someone. If you have a family member or a friend or a business partner that you're like, oh my gosh, he needs to hear this or she needs to hear this, please take a moment, share this podcast. Remember, guys, when you master your habits, you master your wealth and you master your life. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I'll see you on the next episode.